as he usually is.
Brown drives, scoop layup off the glass.
It's not the first time we've seen a superstar in green and white sacrifice the body.
Scoring net, knocked away.
Welcome into another episode of First to the Floor. Ben Vallis here. Thanks for joining us. Hope you're doing well. Well, Brad Stevens has done it. The Celtics are all in and yet somehow maintain some flexibility and draft capital. Wayne Spooney and Jake Eisenberg are here to break it all down. Spooney, what a whirlwind 48 hours or so. How you doing, sir? How's this period been for you?
Well, first of all, Ben, you clearly didn't get the memo. Jake and I are in matching shirts, so come on, dude. It was insane. I immediately went to our Slack and was like, oh my God, and then realized it was like 2 a.m. for you guys, so I wasn't going to get a response. Like, I am shocked. Literally shocked. Like, Brad clearly we'll probably talk about his comments today, but like, he clearly had his guy and he absolutely went for it, man. And I don't want to get into it now, but I am shocked.
Dude,
Jake?
Someone take the trade machine away from Brad. Just let him cool off for a couple hours here. He can't help himself. I mean, this is the vision, it feels like. And I think he saw his chance to really put together what he saw as the best possible team that can win a title. And he spared no expense, but he thinks that there's words to be done. I haven't seen Brad smile like that in a while. It feels like some of this media day stuff, but yeah, we're here.
Now, Jake, just for the interest of the listeners, Jake is back from a multi-day Bucks/bachelor party. I'm sure the fans, the listeners are dying. How are you holding up, Jake?
I feel better now that I'm here in a safe. Like, this is one thing I can still do is talk about the Celtics, and it consumes Celtics things. So thankfully, Brad and the boys, media day. I need positive energy, positive vibes. I'm closer to Al Horford, retiring, and me retiring from the Bender game. We're probably kind of on similar timelines in that regard. But yeah, three day bachelor parties are big. But I just missed I think I was the first one to reply to Spooney because I was up again at like 5 a.m. just to get to start the next day watching football, and we call it a Super Monday. It's a vanilla rhubarb tea with a shot of Fireball, because beer when you wake up at 5 a.m. is a bit tough, but a vanilla rhubarb tea with a shot of Fireball, and then waking up to try and watch 3 screens of football, but then understand what the Jrue Holiday trade was at the same time, while also not being able to feel emotions. It was a lot.
Oh, what an experience. What a hard pay for that wild ride, if somehow that could be simulated for me. All right, so the Jrue Holiday trade. First of all, I apologize. I have a knot in my brain where apparently at least 3 to 5 times per podcast I will say Drew Bledsoe instead of Jrue Holiday. I'll apologize in advance for that. We're going to run through the good, the bad, and the neutral aspects of the trade. The trade, of course, being Rob Williams, Malcolm Brogdon, a 2024 first-round pick via the Warriors, and a 2029 unprotected first-round pick via us, the Celtics, going out to the Portland Trailblazers for one, Jrue Holiday. Got that right the first time.
There we go.
Let's just start with the good here, Spooney. And the first point I had is that we've solved at least some of our playmaking concerns. And if you look at the rankings for Jrue Holiday, he's not like top 90th percentile really in any playmaking metrics among starting point guards in the league. And yet we did have a glaring hole as far as just like someone who knew what they were doing, setting the table, offensively speaking. Now we have really one of the premier point guards in the league, especially defensively, on the team. We'll start there as one of the good aspects. Do you agree that plugs that hole for us?
Yeah, I absolutely do. Like, we were all talking about how Smart's a plus playmaker, and he absolutely is. But do you remember way back, Ben, when Celtics Jay was on the pod, and he and I went back and forth for like a half an hour with Marcus Smart versus Jrue Holiday?
Oh, yeah.
But for a long time. He talked for 25 minutes of it, but I got a tight 5 at the end. And my main argument was the playmaking gap. Like, Jrue is just a different level of playmaker. I think Marcus is sort of a more instinctual passer. Like, if he gets it on the move, he will find the guy quicker. But Jrue is like what we wanted out of Brogdon. He's like he gets so much more defensive attention. He gets to the rim a lot easier, so he just draws a lot more attention, and he makes that easy pass all the time, the ones that Brogdon rejected over and over again. So I absolutely do. Like, if you look at his assist percentage, it's like mid-30s, low mid-30s, and Smart was around 26, and Smart led the team last year. So Jrue's just a big step up, and that Milwaukee team's a weird team to run. Like, they have spacing issues. Like, Giannis gets a lot of the ball, so he's not like, it's not like he's running 25 high pick and rolls a game. They probably should have, but they didn't. Middleton's getting on the ball, so I really think, like, late in a game, you can give the ball to Jrue, have, Porzingis or Tatum set a double screen, and you got White and Brown, like, space in the corner. I mean, come on, man. I could make a pass to that offense.
Oh, my God. I have a long list of good about this trade. It's ultimately, I think we're all on the same page here. It's very good that we have Jrue Bledsoe. But, Jake, I'll throw it to you. Otherwise, I'll talk all day about how damn excited I am.
Well, see, now I don't know if these are Freudian slips or not. Was that a Freudian slip, or was that a purposeful Jrue Bledsoe? Guys, I don't know.
It's always a Freudian slip. I want to say that, I apologize in advance. It will happen again.
Okay.
You just have to replace it in your mind, because clearly I can't do it.
Just so we're all on the same page, audience, whenever you do say Jrue Bledsoe, it's a mistake. I just want to know.
Yeah, 1,000%.
So it's funny for everybody.
Terrible mistake.
Right. So it's not a purposeful joke, but it's just funny for everybody else.
I am an idiot. That's
fantastic. Well, perfect. Consistency from Ben, as always. Yeah, man. Look, we just added like an all-star, like another one to the team, and I mean, like last podcast, right? I think I was probably the one that was the most. I think we literally threw out this exact package, as did everybody, right? Mm-hmm. It was, and we were like, oh, how much does that increase our odds of winning the title? Especially when you talk about the rental part of it. But all the reports so far are like, I would not be shocked if it's just like the 2-year extension when it's eligible, and you put Porzingis and Derek White on that same timeline. Then the risk becomes, it's not as risky to throw out those picks. But man, Brad is in the screw them picks mindset right now. Yeah. But something that we definitely have talked about and were worried about a little bit was that we lost the heart and soul of the team, and like that specific heart and soul, what endeared him to us and to Celtics fans was his ability to be first to the floor, that grit, the defensive playmaking, the defensive creativity that Marcus Smart had. Like, the first thing that comes to mind is playing the Clippers in LA, and Marcus Smart, there's a ball going to the sideline, he dives, he throws it off Kawhi's shin, and it goes out of bounds, and they get the ball back. We didn't have that guy. Like, we had Derek White on that team, but there was just a special type of way that Marcus Smart makes those sorts of plays, winning plays. Yeah. Jrue Holiday's like defining moment as an NBA player is stripping Devin Booker in the finals, going down the other end, alley-oop, Giannis and one, but more or less clinches an NBA title. And so bringing a guy like that we were going to miss, and there was going to be a void we were going to make up for in other ways, but to bring that guy in that we know is so important, that can swing games, that's the part that I'm like most excited about, to get that energy back in the game. We didn't have that with Brogdon.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I agree with all of that. And other than what we've touched on so far, Spoonie, what's sort of the best thing that jumps off the page to you about this acquisition?
I mean, so it's like we'll never have played a game without Marcus Smart, essentially, on the defensive end, because Jrue and Marcus have been 1-2 for defensive guards for the past decade, basically. Mm-hmm. So you pair him. We already saw it. Actually, Smart kind of had like a kind of poor, not poor, but poor for his standards defensive season last year. Jrue did not. So him with White, he's got the size, he's got the switchability. I can't wait to watch him defend Giannis. That's going to be absolutely awesome. But I think it's really just his versatility on both ends. Like, he's money on catch and shoot threes. He's a solid pick and roll ball handler, 80th percentile. And he's a 70th percentile ISO defender, right? So, like, he defends his man, he can shoot, he can play make, he can run a pick and roll. The only problem is really his age, but at this point, Brad, I don't know whose 2K save we're living in now, but Brad Stevens is the player. It's his, I guess, because this is insane. But I just think like he can play in every single lineup we roll out there. It does not matter who. He can probably move up to the 3 at times if we need him to. Like, there's just a million things you can do. You could park him in the corner. You can make him. He can post up. Like, he's a good post up scorer too. Like, he's good, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. If you think about the way that so many plays ended for the Celtics last year with Marcus Smart catching and shooting and often missing because he's just not that good a three-point shooter, except in the playoffs, apparently, where he had a massive uptick in shooting percentage, and Jrue went the other way. But throughout the regular season last year, you mentioned this, Spoonie, Jrue, 45% on catch and shoot threes. If that's the way that play is going to continue to end for the Celtics, but it's Jrue catching and shooting, like, that's a high clip, very efficient way to run every play. I brought up his basketball index player card, which sort of highlights their highest and lowest rankings here. A lot of stuff we've already mentioned. So perimeter isolation defense, top 99.9 percentile in the league, ranked 5th overall. Rim shot making, ranked 7th overall. Teammate rim protection, teammate screener rim defense, and ball screen navigation, which leads me to, we've got this two-pronged, amazing, switchable guard defense. Derek White at the 2, I suppose that's how it's going to work out. Eric Bledsoe, Jrue Holiday. Oh my God, Jrue Holiday at the 1. Like, how do you attack that? If you're looking at, I guess, the Bucks, for example, Dame, huge acquisition for them, but very exploitative defensively with us going at them and constantly hunting Dame on mismatches. How do opposing teams attack the Celtics with how stacked we are defensively? And the thing that comes to mind is, okay, Porzingis, he's going to be the lone big, the starting 5. You know, how are we going to navigate what drop defense looks like? We're definitely switchable 1 through 4. And then really where it becomes tough is, like, you know, can Porzingis come up to the ball and either handle those switches, or do we have enough screen navigation now between Derek and Jrue that it doesn't matter because they can just, like, jump through the screens and continue to defend the ball handler? So, Jake, how do you think that's going to work out?
Yeah, look, I had another one. Like, Brad just picked up a guy that is like similar to Porzingis, popping up in all of these metrics. Like,
what are we looking at here?
So if you're not watching on YouTube, there's a graph where the bottom axis is perimeter isolation defense and the vertical axis is off-ball chaser defense. And in the far top right alone, out of all defenders in the NBA, is Jrue Holiday. And Marcus Smart's kind of like down in the middle to the right, and this is all regular season defense. And we kind of know that Marcus Smart slipped in that way. Bring in a guy like Jrue Holiday, who last season had one of the best defensive seasons in the NBA. And we're talking about a defense that's going to be drop heavy. I think, as you said, I reckon, I envision switching 1 through 4 is probably going to be the move. And then we play drop when it comes to Porzingis and Al. And Al can still switch a little bit when it comes to the regular season. But, man, the point of the attack being Derek White and Jrue Holiday for just any game is absurd. But then when your number one opponent is going to be Giannis and Dame pick and roll, and you have maybe the 2 best screen navigators in the NBA last season, Brad, dude, like, he on both ends, like, it's an upgrade. And I know I saw a comment here about Jrue Holiday's playoff percentages, because we're going to have to talk about that, because shooting wise they were kind of inverse players, regular season versus playoffs. But as we'll talk about it now, last episode we did say Jrue Holiday has been significantly overtaxed in his offensive role the last couple of seasons. Middleton's barely been healthy, and Jrue Holiday as your primary ball handler, basically shared it with Giannis. Your primary guard handler, wing. They didn't have a wing handler. It's too much for Jrue. Versus now, he's going to be catching and shooting, secondary playmaking. I think that those percentages come up in the playoffs. But even if they don't, like, if he's 32% in the playoffs, but he's still giving you everything else, you can still win the title. The year they won the title, he shot 30% from 3 as well. But hey, if those regular season percentages carry to the playoffs, then, like, this could be just too easy.
Yeah, and even though he was himself inefficient in the playoffs, I pulled up his on-offs for the last 2 playoffs combined. With Jrue Holiday on, the Bucks were plus 1.2. With him off, they were minus 7.6. With him on the offense, 111.2, which would have been an average playoff offense. And with him off the court, 96, which would have been by far the worst playoff offense. So those are offensive ratings and net ratings. So even though he himself was inefficient, it just goes to his wild, diverse skill set offensively, even that the offense was still humming when he was out there a lot because of him. So if he just hits some shots and we're getting that crazy skill set, like, dude, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ben.
Well, you go. I'm going to move on. So if you've got
okay, last bit. I was just going to say, like, I think it's easy for everybody to like shooting's so important in the NBA, and it's so easy to cling to 3-point percentage in the playoffs, 3-point percentage here, when really Marcus Smart's 3-point percentage was never going to tell the story about the type of player he was, the type of impact he has on a night-to-night basis, how much he impacts winning, and Jrue Holiday. I mean, Brad has put together a bunch of guys that just like grade out really, really well on all the impact metrics. And Derek White, Jason Tatum, Jrue Holiday, even Porzingis last season, but specifically D. White, Jrue, and Tatum, like when they're missing shots, I do not worry about their impact on the game because they can do so many things on both ends that like it doesn't matter. And I think that's an important thing to note as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's a net positive. Like, he's a known, even by the most casual fan, he's a known net positive league-wide. He's a massive positive attribute to have on one's team. And we'll get to the negative. We'll get to the sad farewells of the outgoing players, which are, particularly in Rob Williams' case, is the primary negative there. But there's still so many more positives to get to. And, a lot of the gripes about this trade is that we have lost some of our depth, and there's still time left in the offseason to rebuild some of that. And we've got plenty of draft capital. We've got the Grant TPE that we could use for some sort of maneuverability there. But where we do have depth is with our stars. We have star depth. And when Porzingis was acquired, we talked about who were the best winners, who were the major winners from that acquisition. And it was really the Jays, in that the court would be so much more opened up for them to maneuver and do what they do, without opposing defenses being able to collapse in the paint because they have to stay true and defend Kristaps Porzingis. Now we add additional star depth. And with our starting 5 or even top 6 on the court, like, who do you help off of? Yeah. Who do you help off of to go and throw 2 at Jason Tatum? And then if you do, the playmaking opportunities for Tatum or Brown or whoever is holding the ball for Jrue Holiday are just like exponentially better. So our stars are a winner. And if Porzingis is injured, if Tatum is injured for a period of time, like, you can still roll out multiple stars. And so that star depth, despite our lack of like overall depth, is still huge in terms of putting a winning lineup on the court and increasing your chances of winning game to game throughout the regular season. So we do have a sneaky level of depth there.
There's 3 All-Stars on this team, literally from the most recent season. It is...
Yeah.
I know. And by the way, Porzingis was also an All-Star like not that long ago. So it's just like the ceiling of this team is crazy. Yeah, the helping off thing, I haven't dug into Bucks film as anywhere closely as I've looked at all the Celtics playoff games the last couple of years. But, the Heat loved helping off Marcus Smart. The Warriors loved helping off Marcus Smart. I do wonder, when I go back and look, like, how comfortable, because that's almost more important than the percentages. Marcus Smart gets to shoot 33, 34, 35% on wide open threes in the playoffs because you have to pick your poison when it comes to the Jays. Going to have to go back and look at it. But from my recollection, which my recollection is slightly less powerful than it usually is, but I remember Jrue Holiday taking a lot of contested threes, a lot of tough shots. Yeah. When it should be a lot easier. Like, it should be a lot more open for him now.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know who?
Go ahead, Speedy.
Sorry.
We're just gonna go all
I was
day.
gonna say, yeah, I know. I'll be really quick. You know who they're gonna help off of is Derek White, and he's gonna eat, dude. He's gonna feast. He's the only guy who's not an all-star, and he's like, okay, you're gonna help off Derek White? Great, perfect.
Yes.
Yeah, or like Jaylen Brown's 3-point shooting, that had a downturn last year. Okay, maybe we're looking at that statistic, that short-term statistic, maybe we'll help off Jaylen Brown. Well, if there's one thing that's going to be the impetus for an uptick, a recovery in his 3-point shooting percentage, it's teams helping off Jaylen Brown. So I hope for dear life that teams decide to help off All NBA player Jaylen Brown. That would be amazing. We're going to keep rolling with the positives here. There's still so much to get to, but first we've got to take a quick break to hear from our sponsor, FanDuel. Snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/Boston and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. So I didn't tee you guys up for this, so don't worry if you don't have any NFL odds in front of you, because I would be very excited to just talk about the NBA title odds. The Celtics are now at the top of said odds.
I got a very quick one. I bet heavily against the Patriots, against the Saints.
Smart.
Yep, I think that's over. Sorry for everybody that bet Patriots plus 6.5.
It's basketball season. Who cares
Yeah,
about the
and,
Patriots?
it's really basketball season now. After what,
Yeah.
after this trade, but after what the Patriots did, Boston Celtics, you are the Boston team.
Yeah, easily. Spoonie,
Yeah.
agree?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And the Bruins are terrible right now, and the Red Sox are terrible. So it's our city, man.
You know what
It's
time it
the
is.
Celtics, baby. Yeah.
Now, so that we're not here all night, I probably need to start consolidating some of these good points. And guys, if you've got like major good points that I haven't brought up yet, like just jump in with them. But I will say, we parted ways with a disgruntled player. And if some of the reporting that came out post-trade around Malcolm Brogdon was that he actually post-smart trade had an expectation of a starting role above Derek White. And with that added context, I think for a while we were sort of toing and froing on whether or not the Celtics needed to make this trade, because Malcolm Brogdon, 6th man of the year, incredible outside shooter, like is a guy you want to kind of keep around despite the health concerns. Once that reporting came out, it was like, of course, they had to pull the trigger. And to be able to do so with this kind of acquisition, that's why it's in our good things. That sort of potential thing to mess with the team's chemistry, that's out the door as well with Brogdon gone. And as sad as it was to move away from Time Lord, to move on from Malcolm Brogdon, despite his professionalism, is a hugely important, massively good thing about this trade. So feel free to add to that, or if you want to jump in with your own good thing points, get in there, guys.
No, I do think that this is better for chemistry. Like it's very obvious that Brogdon was really pissed off. I hadn't seen anything about that starting job stuff. It's not super surprising that he views himself as better than Derek White. That's just kind of how these guys roll in the NBA, is that they kind of think that they're always better than everybody else. But we'll get Spoonie back here soon. But yeah, so I think that's an chemistry-wise easily an improvement. Like Jrue Holiday is like known as the locker room guy. Everybody absolutely loves him. And a guy that's already won a title, already done the All-Star thing as recently as last year, probably going to have a chip on his shoulder, like really coming into this season. So chemistry-wise, you send out the one guy that really had the potential to actually cause some chemistry problems as far as like unhappiness with role. I think maybe you could argue Porzingis could feel that way with not enough touches, but I don't think that's going to be a problem. Brogdon, even last year, talked so much about sacrifice. And it's like, we kind of get it. Dude, like you're not a starter anymore. You're still playing the exact same amount of minutes as Derek White. You're 6th man of the year. You're on the best team in the Eastern Conference for the regular season pretty much. Like, sacrifice. Sorry, the voice is coming in and out here.
We're hanging in there.
Sacrifice is like it's pretty strong for the life and the role that you had last year. Like I think that we were kind of beating a dead horse here when it came to sacrifice and Brogdon. And if you felt that he really deserved like this elevated role when pretty much everybody was on the same page, it's like there was no reason for you to start again, then yeah, I think it's an obvious chemistry upgrade. I think that we would have been fine anyway. It would have worked itself out. But yeah, like the starting lineup to me is pretty obvious. I've seen some buzz about D. White coming off the bench still. I know that's one guy that's not going to be upset. Like I have way more confidence that D. White's going to be totally fine with whatever role is asked of him. That being said, I know we want to get to the starting five, but the starting five is quite obvious to me.
Agreed.
Yeah, well, so it's going to be Jrue Holiday. I always have to pause and like calculate saying that name. Jrue Holiday, Derek White, the Jays and Porzingis, right? Like it's clear, I think, unless there's any sort of injury concerns. And then Al Horford is your primary backup big off the bench, like your sixth man essentially.
Yeah, I don't know if the rotation work. I've seen people calling for Al to start.
Yes.
I just think that's going to run up too many minutes on him if he's starting at power forward and has to be the primary backup big. I don't know how you keep him down in that like low 20s, high teens if you're doing that to him. So, I agree. I don't think there's much of a question, but I guess the argument is like KP and Al would just be absurd rim protection and the rebounding.
Yeah, I think like you still want to experiment with that every game probably.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we want to have that option in the repertoire, in the quiver, going into next season. That double big lineup, like, you know, can we try Porzingis in the roaming role when you come against a team that has, you know, some options to help off, whether it's a PJ Tucker, who I'm just trying to think of the Heat who you can help off, but they don't miss shots when they play against us. So don't help off anybody.
Things have changed.
Things have changed. But when it comes to the Bucks, helping off all kinds of guys because they don't have a fourth best player, but fifth starter, I should say. So I think you experiment with it, but you want to keep both their minutes down. So you want both of those guys definitely below 30, and I mean Al's going to be playing like 4 minutes a minute.
Yes.
The numbers keep getting lower. Mid 20s, low 20s. We're getting into the teens now.
Yeah, I mean, Luke Cornett, his name's been thrown around a lot recently. Like, he's going to get added minutes. He's definitely a winner coming out of this trade. Peyton Pritchard as well. He's going to see an uptick in minutes. Do we have a lot of confidence? Like, we're PP celebrators here on this podcast, but now that it's like basically set in stone that he's going to get solid minutes as the primary backup point guard / the only backup point guard. Maybe Delano Banton is also a winner as well. Are you guys like happy with that, or are the defensive issues a little too glaring for you?
I mean, we are. Look, firstly, PP enthusiasts across the board here. That's just want to make sure we're all on the same page there. But is he going to play that much more before this trade? I guess like he's still the third guard. Maybe the fact that Jrue and Derek are starting, that maybe his minutes go up a little bit, but he's still the third guard. They're probably going to stagger out Derek and Jrue quite a bit. I'm not sure I see Pritchard's minutes going up that much. It's the Cornish game hen as it stands today, whose minutes may have gone up the most. Depending on how you feel about Wenyen Gabriel as well. But yes, he's back. He's back. Man, Bus One's going to be empty soon. All these guys are playing.
Seriously.
Everyone's
It's
going
just
to be on Bus
Hauser.
too.
Yeah.
So, Spoonie, no, go ahead. And then hit us with your remaining good points, because we've got to move on to the bad, otherwise we're going to be here forever.
Yeah, sorry I had to drop out, so if I hit one of those that you already talked about, I apologize, but the internet's working much better. I trust Pritchard. I think he'll be fine as a third guard. He's great with Tatum. There's going to be people, he's going to have open shots all day. I do not trust Luke Cornett, absolutely at all, but he's fine in the regular season. He can't rebound. It just makes me so mad.
You are right. Rebounding is going to be a huge issue.
Yeah,
Sorry, go ahead.
Good points. This is an all-in trade, but not really. Brad still has tons of ammo if he wants to get really crazy. Like, we have all of those seconds. Everyone's saying seconds are more valuable now in the new cap hell that is the new CBA. And ultimately, I think it compresses sort of the ceiling and the floor a little bit. Like, our range of outcomes are a lot narrower. Maybe our ceiling, because healthy Rob Williams is so insanely impactful, is just maybe a slight tick lower. But I think the floor is way higher because Jrue doesn't, he plays, man. Like, that dude plays a lot of games and a lot of minutes. And Brogdon got hurt and it was over. Rob was hurt again. I mean, at some point, it's like, it's going to be nice not have to worry about whether Rob Williams is going to be healthy for the playoffs or not.
The biggest concern that everybody had for this team was health. And obviously Porzingis is still a big part of that. But 3 of our top 6 guys were like really big injury risks, massive injury red flags. Like, as much as we love Rob, every game, it's in the Slack being like, is Rob okay?
Oh my God.
Is Rob okay?
When he limps on a rebound, it's like, oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Every
to
play.
not have to, like, that level of concern for Time Lord, Brogdon, and Porzingis all in one season would have been almost too much to bear. So to have that recede to essentially just one player now is a huge relief. I think we've pretty much touched on everything. A few quick ones. Jrue might already be a top 3 fan favorite. Like, we don't, it's sort of a working title for what this segment should be called, but like the player that you can't wait to see hoist the championship trophy the most. And even though we love the Jays, like, for whatever reason, they have avoided being at the top of this list. Like, it was always Marcus Smart. To see Marcus Smart hoist the championship trophy was like what every Celtics fan wanted the most. Now I think Al Horford is safely at the top there. Derek White is a name that's come up a lot as being like that guy that you just can't wait to see hoist the trophy. And then I think by the end of the season, Jrue Holiday is going to find himself there just because of that tenacity. We had Ben Golliver on the pod recently who sort of put shit on our podcast name. Like, you can't call it first of the floor anymore because you've shipped out everyone with that mentality. And so we get some of that back.
Take
with
that,
Jrue
Ben
Holiday.
Golliver.
Yeah, that's right.
Brad's a fan.
Come back on. Let's talk again. So Jrue Holiday, I think, is going to endear himself to the fan base on that level as well. So I'm excited for that. And then finally, 2 more things. The Jrue Holiday and Charles Lee connection. Obviously, they were both part of the Milwaukee Bucks last year, bringing that chemistry and experience in playing the Bucks. And obviously the Bucks, different coach, different focal points offensively and defensively with the Dame acquisition, but still there's some knowledge there that I think that'll be really helpful for the Celtics. And then finally, perhaps the best part of this acquisition is this.
Schadenfreude.
The Sixers.
Schadenfreude.
The Lakers.
Schadenfreude.
The Heat.
Schadenfreude.
Milwaukee Bucks.
Schadenfreude.
Warriors.
Schadenfreude.
That's right. The best part is the Schadenfreude. The Miami Heat in particular. I've seen some angry Bucks fans like, why do we do this? Like, we've set into motion a course of actions that now are completely out of our control. Meanwhile, the Miami Heat, other than Jimmy Butler rocking up to Media Day with an emo haircut, have not. That's really been the biggest boom of their offseason is Jimmy Butler's haircut. Jake, you're the Schadenfreude expert on this show, so talk to us. Tell the fans what it feels like right now to be a Celtics fan in the wake of the Heat fans' despair.
Man, because I speak for myself, but the Heat are at the top of the list of teams that I hate the most at this point in my fandom. As much as it's going to, like, we have our battles with the Bucks, I really respect Giannis and Dame have always been one of my favorite players. Like, I don't have a lot of hate in particular for the Bucks. What they've done successful, like how they've been successful, it doesn't feel like fluky. It's like grit, it's size, it's, when it comes to the Heat, it's all Fugazi. They should not be how do they keep getting away with it? And the buck has stopped. Please, Lord, have it stopped, because I'm still don't want to see those guys in round 2. Let's be honest. But this is a disaster for them. Like, on the last episode, we were like, please, they cannot get Jrue Holiday, because that would be a problem. Like, Dame would have been a real problem. Them adding Jrue Holiday with some of the stuff they were still going to have to send out would have been a real problem with the way that they already defend the Celtics. Adding Jrue to that Heat team that already defends the Celtics well, and you replace Gabe Vincent with freaking Jrue Holiday at the point of attack. Didn't want to see that. Didn't want to see that at all. You flip that the other way around, and it's just beautiful. And seeing Jimmy sit there with his emo haircut was a good choice. I'd be emotional too if I was Jimmy Butler. Tough day for Pat Riley and the boys. Like, we got to start giving Pat Riley the Danny Ainge almost got the star label. Can we, like, where is that?
Reenie does that, dude.
Yeah, I know.
Reenie does
Yes, he's
that.
all
Yeah.
They miss out on everything. And they're in a place like with Danny, where Danny had to win every deal. He could tell, every GM felt like they knew that Pat Riley and Danny wanted to screw them over, and they just never got any deals done because they had to win the trade by so much. And now Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo and Nikola Jovic are hopefully here to save the day.
I got a text from my Sixers fan buddy immediately after the trade. It's over. We missed our window.
Yeah.
And that was it. So, pretty good stuff.
Oh, man. They're like so dead. They're so dead. It's great.
We do need to pause and just acknowledge the fact that Malcolm Brogdon could go to either the Sixers or the Heat. Obviously, they've been hustling the Blazers for various potential point guard acquisitions, and now the third in line option is Malcolm Brogdon. So that could happen. There's a sneaky revenge factor, I guess, from Brogdon's perspective. Like, he obviously was slightly disgruntled by the end of his Celtics tenure there. So for them to take that energy on board, and obviously the talent with Malcolm Brogdon as well, we might have to do some sort of inverse Schadenfreude report if that does happen. Let's get to the bad very quickly on that note. Spoonie, let's start with you. The huge hit to our big men depth. We talked about the makeup in star depth, but how do you see the Celtics sort of dealing with that issue?
Well, I think it's a clear indication that Tatum is our 4 next year, and some people don't love that. I get it. Puts a little more miles on him. I think the concern for me is rebounding. I don't trust Luke. KP's not a great defensive rebounder. Tatum, I think, is a good rebounder, solid for a 4. Jalen's a good rebounder for a 3. But otherwise, I think that is probably the biggest hole I see with all these trades. And look, your KP rolls his ankle and misses 3 weeks. All of a sudden, Luke Cornett's playing 25 minutes a night, and that doesn't warm my heart particularly. So I wonder if Brad's still in the market for somebody else. But look, Time Lord played 36 games last year. This isn't that different than what we went through all of last season with Blake Griffin starting games. So we've done it before. We won 57 games with a similar setup if KP does miss time. So it's all going to come down to being healthy for the playoffs, I think. And I think the chances of that are higher without Time Lord on the team.
It's very great point, Spoonie, because it's very important to remember the Celtics went 21-4, 21-5 with Al Horford as a starting big man, and then it was Blake Griffin, Noah Vonleh, Luke Cornett. It's kind of the least important position. Like, I'd much rather deal with, if I was going to rank the injuries that you can kind of sustain in a regular season and find a random big man to catch some lobs and do some rebounding, that's kind of the easiest thing to feel in the regular season. And then even in the playoffs, you look at some of the best teams, backup bigs. I mean, Miami's backup big was Cody Zeller.
Biyombo played a lot of minutes for Phoenix. Yeah.
Biyombo, the backup big for Denver is escaping me right now, but they didn't really have one because they have Jokic. The Bucks don't really have one. It's kind of Bobby Portis, but he's barely a big man as well. There's plenty of guys out there I think that they can find. Our guy, Neemias Queta, maybe he's the one.
Gabriel,
man. I like Gabriel, I think.
Yeah,
I mean, he got
Great
real
dimensions
NBA
player.
minutes. Yeah, big time dimensions. And
Incredible
went to
dimensions.
high school in New Hampshire, so kind of a local guy. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So I guess the baddest of the bad, the saddest of the sad is the outgoing Time Lord, our beloved Robert Williams. Was he, Jake, the best Celtic big since, I don't know, a young Al Horford?
So when Al first arrived in Boston, as a free agent,
Yeah,
I guess.
or peak Time Lord, even better. I think you can make the argument.
Wow, I'm not sure I could do that to Al, just because Al, the ability to guard Giannis, Embiid, and then be offensively that sniper as well. And when you add in the durability part of it as well. But at Time Lord's peak, there are very few guys in the league that could wreck a game in the way that Time Lord can do it. I know when we talked about what we're most excited for going into the season, I was healthy Time Lord, box score anomalies for him to have the 10 points, 16 rebounds, 4 blocks, 3 steals type of game. It's just the 8-block game against James Harden in the Nets series. The fact that some of the stuff that he was able to do, and that's why he's so tantalizing. That's why we call him the chosen one. He definitely has a power in there that we saw at times. I'm, I think, a bit of a shell, just generally, I guess, right now. But I think watching Brad Stevens trade Marcus and the emotion that we all went through as Celtics fans with Marcus getting traded, this has not really hit me. Rob was one of my favorite players to watch, such a unique player. But I was grieved for Marcus Smart. And I got Jrue Holiday back as well. So it's I love you, Rob, but I already lost my firstborn son. So, yeah.
Prime Rob is probably the best defensive player since KG on the Celtics. I mean, the problem is he just didn't seem his prime much. I don't know. Al averaged 5 assists a game that first year season or two he was here, which is absolutely insane for a center. So I don't think he quite got there, but the fact that we can have the conversation and it's close, just tells you how damn good he was when he was truly healthy and clicking. So I'll miss Time Lord, but yeah, I think that's a great way to put it, Jake. It's we already lost a child, now it's a grandparent. It's this isn't quite as bad.
Yeah, we're grizzled and jaded at this point. And I think that clearly the Brad Stevens mentality is if you want to make an omelet, you got to break a few eggs. And unfortunately, Time Lord is one of those eggs, but one of the coolest dudes. I think that's been one of my evaluation metrics is how cool a dude are you, and the Time Lord always right up there. So he will be missed. I think Portland are gonna love him, and the opportunity to play at least initially behind DeAndre Ayton is going to give him some longevity, and I wouldn't be surprised if he plays himself into favor, not only with the fans, but with the front office there, given some of the shortcomings we've seen with DeAndre Ayton. So that's definitely the baddest of the bad with the Jrue Holiday, which we're all agreeing is very much ultimately a wonderful, terrific thing. We talked about Drew's playoff inefficiency. We talked about Pritchard, and maybe it looks like only my concerns about him being the primary backup point guard. Before we get to the financial situation, rebounding is probably statistically and team-wise the most glaring hole for the Celtics. Time Lord, his offensive rebounds, so much fun. Just the many, many extra possessions that he would generate just by way of his offensive rebounding. Porzingis is not a known rebounder, full stop, on either end of the court. Tatum is, but often put there in a good rebounding position.
Both of you guys just refuse to swallow the Tatum rebounding propaganda.
Okay, well, tell us everything's going to be okay, Jake, and why.
Firstly, the guys that lead rebounding on every team get 3 to 5 very easy rebounds every game. That's just the nature of being that guy. Tatum talked about it in his kind of media day stuff today. Everybody needs to do more. If you need to go from 8 rebounds a game to 11 rebounds a game, the guy that I want to see a rebounding jump from is Jalen. There's absolutely no reason that he shouldn't be one of the better rebounding wings in the league as well. So I think if you have Tatum and Jalen really bought in on the defensive glass, and before Rob came back, I don't remember the exact ranking they were, but they were pretty sure they were top 5 in defensive rebounding percentage before Rob even came back. And then when Rob did come back, they were shot straight up to first. But they were still a really good defensive rebounding team with Horford, Tatum, and Jalen as their main rebounders. I remember Zach Lowe wrote a bit of a thing about their commitment to gang rebounding. And it was actually a bit of an adjustment having Rob come back because it was we have Rob. We don't need to rebound anymore. Having them all bought into gang rebounding, I actually think is fine when you have Jalen and Jason out there for the most part as well.
Yeah, White boxes out, Jrue boxes out. KP is 7'3", so he is gonna get some rebounds, but we will miss wow, Rob Williams got 4 offensive rebounds in that possession, and he willed us into a bucket. But I think if you're gonna concede anything, rebounding is probably the least important thing. If you're just scoring on people and locking them down, you can give up 2 or 3 extra offensive rebounds a game, and it's not really going to hurt you.
Yeah, the Houston Rockets were first in the league in offensive rebounding percentage last year. So there you go.
Yeah. Interesting. Very interesting. All right. Clearly, everything is going to be great, and everything is fine. We don't have to worry about rebounding.
Aussie Phil, Pritchard. We got Pritchard. He's basically just guard Rob. Yeah.
So, Spoonie, I'll go to you here because this is one of your many sort of fields of expertise. The financial situation. We are now an above second apron team, and we've talked time and time again, throughout the offseason about the constraints that being above that second apron brings upon any team who's in that position. But Jrue Holiday brings with him a meaty contract. He's expiring next year with a player option that I think we decided last pod he likely won't opt into, and it puts the Celtics in a position where they've got to commit yet again more money, another meaty, near max-ish salary to yet another player. So what's your view on the financial situation for the Celtics?
So I think ultimately this year, look, what it basically boils down to is don't get the trade machine out, because once you're over the second apron, you cannot take back more salary than you send out. You used to be able to take back 125% of what you're sending out. So we got to find teams to take money on, which costs additional assets. So we're going to have to overpay in any trade we want, but it will require us to cut money, which is maybe a kind of a blessing in that way. But we're not going to have an MLE for a very long time, and in about 3 years, this tax bill is going to be insane, like hundreds of millions of dollars. So this core probably is not going to stick around for 4 or 5 years. I mean, Jrue's 33, so his window on being like a positive player is probably around that number. But once Tatum's Supermax hits, I don't know what we're going to do. I doubt Wick is writing $200 million luxury tax bills. But so we're in a tough spot, but it all goes more to like, look, Wick put his money where his mouth is, man. Like we're deep into the luxury tax now. It's going to hurt. But when you can put a team with this much talent together, like he just felt like it was worth it. So I'm glad Brad had the green light to spend and get looking at bargain basement, bargain bin bigs, baby, because that's where we're probably going shopping. Like we got that TPE. I think the odds of us taking full salary back on that are probably pretty low, even though I would love to because it's not my money. But and we got to watch out. We're going to have to concede a draft pick if we're over the second apron for 2 more years. So, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you just got to win a title, man, and it all goes away.
Well, here's the thing: that the picks aren't frozen yet because the second apron penalties for freezing the picks don't kick into the following year. Just trade them now, Brad. I saw you smirking at the press conference today. Like those picks aren't hanging around. I don't know if Wick hit a big. Like I haven't seen crypto bump up or anything like that lately. I'm not sure what's going on, but maybe all those savings he's been just investing them nice and steadily. Compound interesting them, ready for the big tax bill, because the Derek White extension's coming. And before this, I was like, we got to pay him the max, which is going to be what we can offer, which is like $30 million a year. And then all of a sudden, we're paying Jrue Holiday also $30 million a year. I don't know what you're going to do, but my guess is his core is this year, next year, and the year after, and then it's just we're back to Jalen, Jason, and whoever fits.
Now, I've got to go in a second. I've got to get to a work lunch here in Sydney, so I'll leave it to you guys to finish the pod, but we'll just run through the rest of the bad very quickly, and there's very few remaining points, but just on that financial situation, my advice, and this is me really just like talking to myself, but to Celtics fans in general, like I got stuck into this a little bit with Danger Cart on Twitter yesterday about getting a little caught up in like the future issues there. And as I was writing out like my final reply to him, I had to sort of stop myself and be like, what are you doing? Like we're more poised to win a championship than we really have been since going into the 07-08 season. Like enjoy the present, and that is my like overarching advice and recommendation to you guys and Celtics fans. Is we get so caught up in like what are we going to do in 2 to 5 to whatever years time? Is Jason Tatum going to be a Celtic when he's 32 years old? Like right now he's 25 going on 26, he's entering his prime. We've got by far the best team around him that we've ever had. We've got possibly the best roster, at least top 6 in the entire league. Enjoy the moment because it will end and there will be issues down the road. And if we spend the whole time worrying about what's coming next, we're never going to be able to enjoy what's happening right now. So again, that's a pep talk for myself because I am one of the most neurotic Celtics fans probably in existence. So it's for me, and I know that there are others out there like me. So let's get to those final bad points before I drop off here. So we talked about the financial situation. One point I had was, did we pivot away from our new values? And what we talked about after the Porzingis acquisition was how our defense would change, how we might play a lot more zone, and we were sort of leaning into size rather than this tiny, small, switch everything kind of defense. And have we suddenly just completely pivoted back away from that? And I suppose, does that leave Porzingis out to dry a little bit defensively, and that he will be sort of required to come up to the ball and guard pick and rolls differently than we would have been if we were double big with Time Lord and Porzingis? So have we sort of spent most of the offseason committing to a new basketball philosophy and set of values, and then have we suddenly at the last minute pivoted away from that, Spoonie, and is that a bad thing?
So I think so, but I think if you look positional size wise, like we're still pretty big. Like Jrue's a huge point guard. Derek White's probably an average size shooting guard. Jalen about average size small forward, and Tatum. I don't know. Just Tatum like 6'19" now at this point. Like he's huge. Like he's huge. I think he's fine at power forward. And like Jrue's bigger than Marcus Smart, right? So he's really replacing Smart. And I think it's really just losing Rob is where we lose that huge size because we can't go double bigs as nearly as often. But if we need it, we can run KP and Al and Tatum and Jalen and Jrue Holiday out there. Like I think it's. I think you're right. Yeah, that's a massive lineup, right? So I think you're right, Ben, that we've pivoted from like we always play big to we can play any way you want at any time with a bunch of different personnel out there. So I do think it's a pivot, but I think it's a pivot towards more versatility.
Yep, totally agree. I think size-wise, they're just pretty big at every position. We just don't have the jumbo squad on the crew now. And like the zone that they ran in the Summer League was probably a waste of time now, but that's okay.
I love that with every bad point I put in air quotes that we've been able to bring up. There's been a really easy way to negate that actually
not
being
doing it, not today.
Cause for concern. And maybe like go, after you listen to this and subscribe on all platforms and share it with all your family and friends, go check out a few other podcasts. Like I know that the Dunked On Pod did a more objective overview of the trade for the Celtics there, but we can't help ourselves. It's incredible. Guys, I do have to go, so I'll leave it to you to wrap up the pod. There's obviously still plenty to get to, but unfortunately, I've got a work engagement I've got to get to. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Enjoy your time with Spoonie and Jake, and I'll talk to you all soon.
See you, dude.
Very much. See you guys.
See you, Ben. Oh, I missed him. Damn it.
That's right. Now it's just two guys when we're matching shirts.
That's right. Oh, I'm screen capping this, man. Might make it my Twitter profile. So real quick, Jake, I want to know your thoughts on this because like my entire like career of being a Celtics fan has been making the argument that Marcus Smart is a better defensive player than Jrue Holiday. So one, I'm going to try to maintain that this entire season. Do you feel like you're gonna cave and you're gonna say Drew's better? Because I probably will.
Well, here's the thing. I feel like we're okay because I was 100% on the Marcus Smart is a better defender the year that we had that defense and Marcus Smart won Defensive Player of the Year. That was easy, right?
Yeah.
We talked all year long about how Marcus was not good relative to his standards on defense last season. I think we're okay to say that last season, Jrue Holiday was a better defender than Marcus Smart.
Okay.
That's objectively fair, and I think we're okay there. Career-wise, I still like the way that Marcus Smart gives you, like, can Jrue Holiday defend like Joel Embiid like 12 possessions in a game? I don't think so, right? And I just think that was the special part about Marcus for me was the rejecting Bam Adebayo at the rim, being able to throw him and just embracing the challenge of guarding like the biggest guys in the league. I know Jrue Holiday is technically bigger, but that's what I always loved about Smart. So career-wise, I still give the edge to Marcus as a defender, but last season Jrue was the better defender and it wasn't that close. But career-wise,
I love that answer. I absolutely love that answer so much. And I'm storing it up here, lock and key, to make sure I bust it out. But yeah, and look, like Smart has taken a lot of miles on his body. So I actually think you could say this about Smart and Brogdon, because Brogdon's offense was kind of Miami Heat style, like black magic. He just made a bunch of threes and was pretty terrible everywhere else. Like both those guys could be in for some regression next year. I guess you could say the same about Jrue, but so yeah, I love that, Jake. That's the absolute perfect answer. I don't know which one of us is hosting. So what do you want to talk about next?
That's a great point. Do we have anything else bad we got? I mean, the Jrue Holiday true shooting percentage, we've kind of covered that.
Yeah,
I feel like, right? I think you can still win the title with the way that he's shot the ball. They literally did it. And there's an argument to be made that in this offense where he's going to be, at best, the third offensive option, probably fourth, surrounded by like more offensive talent, that starts to come up. So, we're going to see it. But yeah, I think that's it for the bad. And we can move on to miscellaneous here. Bill Simmons on the Bill Simmons pod, also just the podcast, the game right now. It's great to be in the game, listening,
sir.
making podcasts, listening to podcasts. Like it's a great day for podcast consumers. Bill Simmons saying the Jays being the only guys left from the bubble, that definitely hit me kind of hard. I was like, wait, was Pritchard there? No, because his rookie year was the post-bubble year where everybody
where there
was
no fans. Yeah.
No fans, and everybody had COVID, and we had Tristan Thompson and Daniel Tice playing double bigs. Oh boy. But yeah, he it's kind of crazy, but it's also important to note like that we had the core together for like 7 years. Like it wasn't like this team flipped overnight.
Yeah.
Like we gave it a real crack with this team, dude. Like what, 4 conference finals. I guess it was time.
Is it 5 conference finals?
Jalen rookie, yeah. 1, 2. Yeah, 1, 2,
yeah.
Bubble. Yeah, it is 5. Tatum's got 4.
Yeah, Tatum's got 4, right? Which I think is really 4 is the right number in that case because that IT team was so different. So it's really 4 with that core. Like that's a lot of bites at the apple, the pie. I don't know, at the cherry. There we go. And like we didn't get it done, man. And last year we lost to the 8 seed in the Eastern Conference Finals. Like we all felt like something had to change. I didn't realize it would be this much, but something had to change.
Yeah, I mean, the Porzingis deal took us literal months to get over and wrap our heads around. And a lot of that, the talking point for me has been the biggest issue with this Celtics team has been the offense. And you heard a lot today at Media Day, watching the Nuggets. Everybody's clearly on the same page, and that the reason that we have not won the title in the last couple of years has been offense, and it's like not close at all. And the offensive upgrade between Porzingis from Rob to Porzingis, let's just your best kind of 5 guys. As good as Rob's offensive rebounding is, no one's ever going to argue that Rob is a better offensive player than Porzingis. It's a massive offensive upgrade with Porzingis. And as good as Marcus was, Jrue Holiday was he's just a much better offensive player while not sacrificing anything on the defensive end. And the Nuggets won the title with like the 16th best defense, and being able to get stops here and there in the playoffs. But it was can you get a bucket? And the Celtics just couldn't get a bucket at times the last couple of seasons. And now there's just a lot of bucket getters out there.
I'm fascinated to see what our crunch time offense looks like because there are so many different things you could do, so many different guys you can put the ball in their hands. So I think Joe has a lot to figure out. That kind of terrifies me, but trust in Joe, man. Like Brad believes in him, so we got this.
He can't be worse than last year. Like I think I'm not even a guy that thought Joe was terrible last year. I'm just more saying like his first year as a coach where he didn't have any time to prepare. Granted, a lot of his plans went out the window a little bit yesterday, but rookie coach has a staff in place. Players have gotten older. Like I think it would be shocking to me if Joe obviously regresses from a coaching perspective. I think that would be weird. And then the other miscellaneous thing that Ben has here for us is a lot of this is just still going to come down to Tatum. And I'm so excited for him, dude. Like everything that's coming out of his mouth right now is just like grizzled veteran. He's just ready for this season to start. Defensive end, whatever the team needs, take on more. I'm ready for this Tatum season.
Dude, he is going to put an all-time Coast Fest in the preseason because he doesn't want to get hurt. Like, he is not going to try at all, which I'm totally fine with. Yes. Go nuts, Jason. But, why don't we jump into Media Day because Tatum had some awesome quotes today. I've got one from shout-out friend of the program, Jack Simone. Go follow him if you don't because he was tweeting out tons of quotes all day long. And this on his connection with Boston, which made me want to just go out and get in a fight on behalf of Jason Tatum. When I got here, I was 19, fresh out of college. I was starting a new career on a new time. I chose to go to Duke. I didn't choose Boston, but I've spent so many years here. Deuce has grown up here over time more and more. I felt like I'm a part of the city of Boston. I mean, come on, man.
mean, yeah.
Just win a ring, please.
That's all we need. Let us build the statue, please.
Yeah.
You know, and he's slowly coming into his own as a human, like 25 years old. Like watching the video of him sitting down to his press conference and just kind of joking, being like, I already know what you guys are going to ask me. Do you want me to just to go?
Answer, yeah.
And he just starts talking about Paul Pierce. He's like, I knew the second thing was going to be Jrue. And like that's a big piece of it for him as well, is the mental jump from a leadership perspective. And that's part of the Marcus Smart, Jrue Holiday swap too, is that you get that grit and that leadership from Jrue, but you know, no one's going to mistake this team for Jrue Holiday's team, like you kind of can do with Marcus Smart, who was, you know, here for 9 years, rightly was a leader. And Jrue will be a leader too, but it's going to be Jalen and Jason's team, so that won't change with this trade. On Tatum, the 12 pounds of muscle, which I think, depending on who you talk to, is a good thing or a bad thing. I'm all about it. Like 12 pounds of muscle for a guy that's 6'9". You know, I know I've been talking a lot about muscles lately. I feel like the last couple episodes between the striations and the quadricep teardrop last episode. But a guy that's 6'9", adding 12 pounds of muscle over like the off season, I feel like no one's asked him this specific question, but I'm pretty sure he would have gained about 10 pounds of muscle, like somewhere between 5 and 10 pounds every year that he's been in the league.
Yeah.
Like even looking at the video of him at the press conference, it doesn't really look that different to me. Like, yeah, maybe there's a little bit of extra size, but when you're that big, it's not that big of a difference.
Yeah, I wonder if it's in his base, in his core. Because, you know, he was like, he could definitely use, like, his upper body doesn't, this is like weird. I'm breaking down Jason Tatum's body, but like his like upper half really didn't need it, but he does need to get stronger in the legs.
Yeah.
It'll help him play the 4 better too.
Yeah.
Did either of us call out Jason Tatum as the guy who gained the muscle in our media day predictions last time? Yeah, I think
I'm pretty
one
sure
of
we
us.
did.
It might have been you.
I think we said Hauser as well as a good choice for that. But look, I watched the Kevin Hart cold as balls video that Tatum was on, and Tatum's shirtless for that whole video, and he looks pretty much the same to me. Like, very different. I don't know when exactly they filmed that, but it only came out recently. He looks very much the same, but I think adding that extra strength, is a good thing. People think it's going to impact the shooting. We've kind of covered that it's probably just like take 2 less bad shots and you're probably going to come right back up to 37% anyway. What did you think of all of the him talking about the Paul Pierce stuff?
I don't know if it's me. It's Paul. That's awesome. I love it. Shout out Pierce for dropping 15 to 20 pounds. That's great. But it doesn't like get me like revved up, I guess, like it does a lot of people. Like was it like Giannis is working out with Hakeem, and it's like, okay, cool. He still can't make anything outside of 3 feet. So I think it's awesome. Paul is like being so involved with the team and specifically with Tatum. That's great. Not sure Paul Pierce is the greatest mentor for a young athlete, but I think it's cool. I mean, it's fun. It's a fun story.
I do love how it's like they're helping each other. The fact that Pierce is losing 20 pounds. I do like the idea of just like 4 weeks straight, you know, in the gym every day. They got, you know, I know that they're not really Eye of the Tiger guys. I'm guessing it's more Drake and Future and guys like that. But I'm picturing Eye of the Tiger, Rocky, just every day. Tatum in the gym and Pierce giving him like little footwork tips, like how to use his shoulders, like some of that kinds of stuff. But I do feel like it's something that people have always like wished they saw more of, is like these legends getting involved with the Jays. And to have like a little 4-week boot camp, I think is fun. And have him share some of those stories about winning a championship. It is funny though. It's like Pierce, like you forget how much injuries and things just and luck just contribute to this kind of stuff. Like the big 3 just only won the one title, and KG hurts his knee, and then that's the reason they don't win another one. They just got lucky that everyone was healthy in that 1 year. And that's all we need is for everything to go right one time.
Just one, man.
Just one time.
It will change the narrative about Tatum's place in the NBA so much if he gets a title, dude. Like, I really think it'll just be him moving up to like that accepted right around that top 5 tier 1A range. Who's your MVP of media day? Because I have one if you don't.
Honestly, I haven't had a chance to watch everything yet. So I just watched that Tatum one. So I'm gonna have to go Tatum here. But please, if you give me the recap.
Okay, Jordan Walsh.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna say
everything. Watch everything with Walshy. We have picked the correct guy to go all in on for the vibe of First to the Floor here. Jordan Walsh on movies he's been told to watch. This is Jack Simone again. Al told me I have to watch Godfather 1 and 2. Once you get that, you can come talk to me again. And then Jordan Walsh, when he was done, skipped away from the podium. Literally, like, skipped. So he has a lot of awesome quotes. He has a great quote about like the difference between college, summer league, and then playing with these guys in pickup games, and like what his role is going to be, how he understands he's not going to play a ton, but he's going to bring it 100% every time he does. So like definitely check out the Walshy stuff. I think easy MVP. Dude is extremely lovable.
He's awesome. And like, the fact that he's mentioned that Horford's mentoring him. I love Al, dude. Like,
the best.
I love that it didn't make any sense to trade him, but like to have him, it's just to have a guy like that that's willing to take this second round pick, this 19-year-old kid, and like really take him under his wing. Like Al being one of the first like vet guys to come back in the offseason to this facility and straight away take Walshy under his ring. Like, that's awesome. And for Walshy to like really appreciate that, like, man, every word out of Walshy's mouth is like, you can feel the championship culture. You can feel everybody pulling in the right direction. It's like a very thoughtful 19-year-old, and also like really knows how to get the people going, because all he talks about is how everybody just is on the same page to win a championship. So great choice. Cannot wait to go watch all of the Jordan Walsh stuff. Do you have anyone else that you enjoyed?
I mean, Derek White was just classic Derek White. Yeah. Bald head was out there looking beautiful. But, you know, it's D. White. I think Jalen had a great quote about him. And did you see them? They went to the CU Boulder football game. And Jalen's like, friggin' Derek White was drunk by 10 a.m. And I was like, that would be a day, dude. I would love to day drink with Derek White and go to college football game.
Tailgating with D. White? Yeah. Oh, man, that's living.
But I would just say, like, in general, it seemed like the vibes were extremely, extremely high, and not in just like a media tailored way. Like, you can just tell these dudes know they're part of something special, and they're super excited. Like, it just like beams through in all their interviews. Yeah,
it's really interesting. It feels obviously it feels different to last season, obviously with no Ime. I don't know. It feels like Tatum and Jalen, specifically Tatum, feel like they've just embraced the process of
relaxed.
It's like, look, we want to win a title more than anything, but you can't force this thing. We just have to go out, play defense. We love these new additions. You got to try and make it work, and we get there. It's you just can't force this. I was going to say Porzingis is giving me, from what I saw today, just like Ray Allen vibes. Like, he's not the most eccentric-y dude. Like, he's not going to have these awesome quotes. He's just like, Boston's great, happy to be here. And he's probably going to be the guy that sacrifices, like, of the obviously it's different because Jalen and Jason are already here.
Yep.
But like, he's going to be the guy that like changes what he's done the most. Like, when Ray Allen came to Boston, he was completely changed the way that he played and fit. And then personality wise, he's just, I mean, no one's like Pierce and Garnett, like, obviously, but he was obviously like the most kind of relaxed, laid back of those three. And I feel like Porzingis is going to be kind of similar in that. I hope that he's just, I'm here, set screens, roll, play defense, and he probably leaves after his contract. And it's like, hopefully we had a title, and but he goes to another team for a contract. He feels more of like a mercenary to me than like Jrue Holiday does kind of in.
Yeah, I think that's an absolutely spot-on comparison. We haven't really talked a lot about that, about KP. We've just been so excited. But, yeah, he's going to have to change the way he plays. And he's not like a guard. Like, Jrue is going to have the ball. Even if he's taking less shots, like, he's going to take the ball up. He's going to run the actions. Like, there's going to be, like, games where KP just doesn't get nearly as many touches as he's used to. So let's hope he buys in. I think he will. When you got an injury history like that and you're on by far the best team he's ever played on, and he's like 27, 28 now, like you start to mature and understand like what it's really all about. Like I think I get the impression he's maybe not the most exciting, funny guy in the world, but I also think he kind of understands what the task at hand is and will do everything he can to accomplish it. So that's a like spot on comparison, dude.
Yeah. So I think that's fine. We don't need you to do anything besides hit shots. So you don't have to be funny. I do like that Jalen like continues to make the defensive identity, like that's clearly a focus of his in particular and everybody, but pretty much since the day that he signed his Supermax, every time he's had the chance to speak, he's talked about the defense, and he posted a defensive highlight reel on his Instagram. Like, if we can get Jalen's best defensive year of his career, that would be awesome. Someone just tell him to like make defensive rebounding a goal of his, and that'll just have like a really big impact on his overall. Like, he always sucks at these impact metrics. If he just like focused on rebounding, that'd probably like just fix it naturally.
Yeah, I'm actually writing about this. I tweeted out some charts comparing him to Donovan Mitchell, Zach LaVine, and Anthony Edwards. And like, he's great in efficiency. He's probably the best or second best in all the defensive metrics. And then impact, he's clearly last.
Yeah.
Part of that's like playing without Tatum. That kind of on-off makes it look worse than it is. But yeah, you're right. Like, we just know he's not going to be a playmaker. It's just not. It's too late. It's just not going to happen. So like, dedicate yourself. Be Klay Thompson, where you just like absolutely who can go to the rim. Just defend like insane. Take that on and score efficiently. And that's a championship caliber number 2. Like we've already seen it. So I think that's the mold. And you're right. It seems like it's like crazy how often he's bringing up defense. I absolutely love it.
So, well, I hope he actually carries that into the season, because at least it's an easy thing to ask him about now. Jalen, you said defense was going to be a focus for you here. See you getting lost off ball a couple times today. What happened to the defense? So I like that it's a focus, because it makes it easy to hold everybody accountable. If it's been a focus day in, day out going into the season, the media will be talking about it, and they'll be talking about it themselves. But yeah, I don't have too much more from a media day perspective. I'm sure there'll be much more that kind of comes out the next few days, but yeah.
Yeah. Real quick, I guess before we go, we are running the Jordan Walshy jersey promo. Leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast app you use. We will read them out, and we will randomly pick a winner at some point in the future here, and we will send you a Jordan Walshy jersey, the only one in the world, we think, probably. So yeah, figure out a way to get us your contact info or your Twitter handle, and we can go from there when you leave the review. But we were going to read some out today, but Ben has them, so we're not going to be able to do that. But next time we'll read a handful or half a dozen off. So please, 5-star, help the boys out, help us destroy that algorithm. But yeah, appreciate the support.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a Walshy jersey. We did decide as well. So
it could be anything. Which
is lame, but you can do it if you want. We wouldn't hold that against you. But yeah, man, it's we're almost there.
Yes, sir. All right, you want to just roll it? Outro time.
Let's do it. Thanks, everybody. Right. Appreciate everybody in the chat. Good to see you, Spoonie. And let's
peace.
Go out.
I love the